All right, let's get into it, man. News for the run. Starting off, so the NFL onside kick rules are going to be a little bit different than what you've seen in the past. So onside kicks will now be illegal before the fourth quarter, and the team that's performing an onside kick, they must be losing in order to do so. And then teams, they must announce their intention to kick an onside kick ahead of time. Any of these will report in like a flag or a violation or result in a flag or a violation. Not sure what that penalty will be, but these are the new rules in the NFL for onside kicks. Now, DJ Moore and the Chicago Bears agreed to a new deal, $110 million that includes $82 million guaranteed. So that's going to help the Bears a lot, him securing his money. And speaking of the Chicago Bears, Hard Knocks training camp with the Chicago Bears will premiere Tuesday night at 9 p.m. on HBO Max. So go ahead, check that out. Get to see an inside look of Caleb Williams and the rest of the new pieces that the Bears added to the roster. It's going to bring a lot of hype to that organization, especially being in Chicago. So that's going to be huge. But for those who are starving for some NFL football, you can finally take a breath. The NFL preseason is here, and the games are starting up again this Thursday on August 8th. You can watch the Panthers play the Patriots. The Lions, they'll take on the Giants. Then Friday, you also got a couple of games as well between the Falcons and the Dolphins. Texans will play the Steelers. The Eagles, they'll also take on the Ravens that Friday afternoon. Then Saturday and Sunday, you can expect some more football as well. On Saturday, looks like you got a big slate here of games. The Commanders are going to be playing the Jets. The Bears will be playing the Bills, Raiders, and the Vikings. Green Bay Packers will take on the Cleveland Browns. Buccaneers versus the Bengals. 49ers and Titans. Chiefs, Jaguars. Seahawks and the Chargers. And on Sunday, just two games there with the Dallas Cowboys and the Denver Broncos playing the Indianapolis Colts. So in that matchup with the Cowboys, they're actually going to be playing the Rams. I didn't say that, but went ahead. Got to go ahead and clarify that just a little bit for you. But anyway, now it's time to switch gears because one of the teams, I'm not really expecting much from them preseason. I don't expect anything from anybody in the preseason games because it's really a joke. Like, you know, guys are trying to make the teams and stuff. And in the slate that I mentioned for this weekend, they don't even have a game coming up in this preseason. But one of the teams, I think they've missed their Super Bowl opportunity. And I'm 100% confident saying they missed their Super Bowl opportunity because last year there was a lot of injuries of people being hurt. There was teams were hurt. They didn't have a great quarterback last year. But, you know, the Baltimore Ravens, they were one of those teams that were absolutely stacked. They had talent on every aspect of the field, on the defensive end, on the offensive end, and the linebackers, the defensive backs, the D-line, the offensive, the running backs, the receivers, the quarterback. They had talent everywhere you can imagine on the field for the Baltimore Ravens. And I don't think that road to the Super Bowl would have gotten any easier for them. Because when you think about this, the Kansas City Chiefs aren't going to be that bad again. They're not going to have that much lack of talent ever again in that organization. Because now they got three key guys they can throw the ball to and create offense. They didn't have that last year. It was literally just Travis Kelce and Isaiah Pacheco who could do anything on the offensive end. Everybody else was pretty much dropping passes, trying to establish a name for themselves. So now that the Chiefs are stacked up with a new team and a new roster on giving them more offensive power, the Ravens are going to have to play a more talented Kansas City Chiefs. They're going to play a healthy Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow, a more experienced Texans with CJ Stroud and a lot more weapons over there with them as well. So, you know, this is why I say, although the Ravens, they have a nice team, they got some guys over there, they brought back some people as well that's going to help them a lot. And yeah, I know the big thing is here, they got Derrick Henry who's going to help the offense. Yeah, he's going to be a huge help, but ultimately, that wasn't an area where the Ravens were struggling last year. They never struggled to run the ball last year. So yeah, you have Derrick Henry, a guy who can carry the offense and run the ball. But at the same time, what's the difference between last year's running the ball and this year's running the ball? Either way, they're still going to finish the game with at least 165 yards rushing. So to me, the main difference here is that Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are going to have to go against guys that are more talented, teams that are more talented, teams that are stacked together and put together a little bit better than what they were last year. And that does concern me just a little bit because, I mean, now I want Lamar to win, but it's harder. It's more difficult. It's more difficult than beating an inexperienced Texans team or Kansas City Chiefs team with no talent. I don't know, but look, man, hey, that's all we got for you today. I appreciate you for hanging with us, tuning in, and listening all the way through. Shoot us a quick take, 219-413-9405. And of course, we'll play your take back on our next episode. But I'm gonna leave you with a positive note here. And the one thing I'm gonna say is just run your own race. Run your own race. Don't get too hyped up about what somebody else is doing. Don't get hyped up about what somebody behind you is doing or you're ahead, behind your age group, all of that. None of that actually matters at all. Just run your own race. Do what you got to do. Take care of your responsibilities and let everything work out in divine order. That's all you got to worry about. Don't worry about nobody else next to you. Don't worry about who flexing on the gram, flexing on Twitter, flexing on Facebook, whatever you use. Just run your own race. All right, and I'm going to leave you with that, man. But other than that, look, man, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Send it to a cousin, a brother, an aunt, an uncle, a niece, a nephew, a coworker, anyone you know who will enjoy this conversation in this podcast episode. Other than that, follow us on Instagram at The Run Podcast. Follow my personal as well at I am Manny Wilson. You can follow us on TikTok as well, The Run Podcast, and YouTube, The Run Podcast as well. Other than that, look, man, hey, I'll be back later on next week. And so on and so on and so on.